What's going on? It's the kid Trey Rivers. We back with another episode of the No Distractions All Action podcast. And I got my big homie Salty in the building. Y'all know we got to make movies when we come up on this thing. So I want to go ahead and get in with my dog and tell his story so y'all can understand where he coming from, how he got into business, and how he doing his thing. So what's going on with you, brother?
What's good, man? I appreciate you for having me, brother.
Man, all the time, man. I had to get you on this platform because I ain't been on my platform in a minute, so people probably ain't been seeing me doing the interviews. So I was thinking, I was like, bro, let me get bro on here, and I want to hear his story, and I want the world to hear your story. So I thought it would be a dope way to just bring you on my platform and get it out here. So kind of let the people know where you from. You know, what I mean, what's your background?
Okay. Well, yeah, my name's Salty. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. 30 years old, and I've been in the show business for going on 8 years now. And I started off in this business back when I was in community college. One of my friends, guy that I hung out with, he was doing it, and he was just telling me about it, and I told him, put me on to one of the shows, and we ended up doing a show that's called the C Spire show
Okay.
that we do in Madison, Mississippi. And they usually bring out a big stage that folds out of a semi truck. And we would set that up, and it usually takes about a week to set everything up, and it all comes down pretty quick within like 2 days, you know. And so I've just been doing that for over the years.
Hell yeah, that sounds like. Well, before I even say that, how did what made you want to get into the show business? Like do you have any inspirations or any musical or anybody that just inspired you to make you want to get into it?
Well, not really that anything or anyone that just inspired me. I just know I always wanted a job that allowed me to travel, and something that was always important to me was just finding something that I love, that I'll love doing, and not just settling for, just a paycheck or anything. So yeah.
That's what's up, man.
And
'Cause
so
I feel the
yeah,
same way. Not to cut you off, I feel the same way. Like what I mean. That's with this music shit that I've been doing. That's all I've been wanting to do is do something that I can love doing and travel at the same time. Because seeing, it's the pit stops, the gas stations, the skylines. That's what it be for me. You know what I mean? That I feel like that shows that brings the more of the journey for me. You know what I mean?
right, right. And so I tell people all the time, I work in the show business, but I'm not an actual artist or anything. I work behind the scenes. So I started off as what they call a hand, and it's just somebody who just builds the stages and sets everything up on the stage. Like I said, I did that for a couple of years, and that led me into rigging. And rigging is just the engineering behind everything also. And so all of the lights and the speakers and stuff you see hung,
Yeah.
all of that has to be hung manually by guys who climb in the top of the rafters and pull all this stuff up by ropes manually. And sometimes we go as little as 60 feet, and the highest I've been was 150 feet in the air. And
Dang.
so I did that for 3 years, and that led me into going with a production company called All Events, and through there, I ended up going on tour, with Kevin Gates, and ever since then, it's just been it's been amazing. And they after that first tour I did with them, they ended up calling me back, and I started working with them permanently as a stage manager.
Hell yeah. I see. I didn't want to jump into how you got with Gates.
Okay,
I wanted to, back.
okay,
I
okay,
wanted to give, but it's cool. It's cool. We give them a little sample, but I wanted to,
yeah, okay.
get into it. So like saying like building stages, how long would that be for an average person? Or would they have to go to college like how when you was in college when you started, or is it something that that you can just get into it, or do you think that it'd take a couple years of experience before somebody could jump into that?
Well, honestly requires no experience at all, and you don't have to go to college. You don't need any type of background dealing with that at all. And the only way I got into it, and I tell other people, is that it's literally word of mouth. You don't see any applications anywhere for it. It's literally word of mouth, and that's how I got into it, was through a guy that I knew. You know.
Oh yeah, because I always wonder. Like I know a older cat. Shout out Ben Leslie. When I used to do shows out in Indiana, he'll do the lighting, and he always make sure my lighting was always, crazy. Like I got you, and I ain't never really understanding. I was sitting back one day before the show, and I was watching them with the board and that's with the lights and everything, and I thought that was dope. And everybody else was looking at me like, like I was on some corny shit. But like, I look at everything in a concert. I want to know how they do, from the beginning. You know what I mean? Before the artist is there, before when the DJs is getting there, like how you when you're there and you setting up. You know what I mean? I've been around when you setting up. I didn't even know what you was doing. Like
Yeah.
I'm just there. You know what I'm saying? So I just
Yeah.
I always wanted to know, how that process went. So, learning from him, I kind of got a little bit of it, not too much of
Yeah.
it. So that's why I wanted to bring you on the platform too, so you could kind of explain it to me. But I can see how you started with it and how, like you saying, there's no experience, it's just word of mouth. I can jump up into it, if anybody that's listening to the podcast right now that want to jump in and get into it, you know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a lot of jobs in show business or music or anything that how entertainment period. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that that's real important. Like
Hmm.
without you, ain't nothing gonna be, set up right. At the same time, and without the light man, when the fireworks come up or whatever, or when they dim the lights or however they, whatever, when the confetti come out. All of that matters in the show, whatever entertainment it is. If it's a play, it's a concert, whatever, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's real important to let people know that this is a job that I know it paying you well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because to see
Most
where you
definitely.
at now. So like I feel like I just wish that a lot more people will start looking at more of that instead of, wanting to jump out here and be the rapper all the time. Cause it's like we got
Right.
millions of rappers. You know
Right.
what I mean? Which is no, I'm not hating on nobody that, that wants to have that passion, but I feel like a lot of it is just it's so easy to do now.
Hmm.
And it's like nobody else wants to explore into those other avenues in the business.
Right. And I'll definitely say, man, there's, like you said, there's definitely money to be made, behind the scenes. You can make a lot of money being a production manager or a tour manager or a stage manager. But I think it's the fact that people only see the rappers. And even before I started working this job, I didn't even think about how everything was being setting up or who was setting it up or how it was just being done. My only concern was just getting to the show, seeing the artist, and once I've left, that's it, you know. And I think it's very important that, and a good thing that you're also bringing light to that, also that the people behind the scenes, because a lot of times we get overlooked, and a lot of times we get disrespected a lot, even by some of the artists that we set up for. Me personally, I've been disrespected a couple of times. And it's like you said, I mean, we're the ones who are setting everything up, making sure everything is on point with the lights, the sound, the stage, and everything. And it's like we get the least amount of respect out of anybody. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's why I felt like it was perfect to have you on here to shine that light on it because I don't I like to see everybody win and I like to see everybody positioned to be celebrated and to be known, because like you said, people disrespecting and you looking like I could have left a boat out and your ass could have fell off when you jumped on stage or anything.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like y'all need to be respected and need to be more known. So that's why I felt like it was a great thing to bring you on. So because I feel like a lot of people don't give a fuck about them. And I don't like that. You know what I mean? I know how it is to be in the background and see shit. and even be a part of the background. Even though I'm not really, in your lane, but I done been in that background and seen people, get treated like shit. And I just be like, damn, like, like that shit don't make sense to me, you know what I mean? But I guess, because people got the name, the power, whatever, that gives them the right. I don't feel it's right. So, it's fuck 'em on my end. But so tell me more about like your childhood. Like how was it growing up in Mississippi? And so you said Jackson, Mississippi, right?
Yeah. So originally, I'm from a small town called Okolona, Mississippi. And I know when people think of Mississippi, if you're not from the South, they think of it as like just dirt, mud, and people with no shoes and stuff like that. But it is country, and we do wear shoes, and we do have towns. But in that small town that I grew up in, it was very nice. It was refreshing, and I grew up on a farm as a little kid too, with my uncle, helping him with that. But eventually, when I was 11, we moved. My mom brought me out of there, and we moved to Jackson, Mississippi, to the city. And for me personally, it was kind of a shock, a little culture shock, because there were a lot of things that the other kids would say and do that I just wasn't used to, you know? So, and I had to be a little more social. Not to say that I wasn't social back home, but the way that they socialized was just different from what we did, growing up in a little small town like that. And so we ended up moving to Jackson, and I got acclimated to everything here. And then after I graduated from middle school there, we ended up moving to a much nicer town outside of Jackson. It's called Clinton, Mississippi. That's where I went to high school, and that's where I still reside now. And so Clinton's a nice, peaceful town. It's a certified retirement city, so a town. So there's not much that's going on here, and so it's pretty much my speed. I like it.
That's what's up. Now, like, is it like I've been to Mississippi before? I've been to Louisiana before. I've been all down in those areas. I done dealt with my, fair share of, certain people down there with like, racism and anything. Was it like that growing up for you in those areas down there since, Mississippi kind of is more from what I know of it?
Well, in Clinton, I didn't really deal with racism at all because it was a mixed community and everybody was got along fairly nicely for the most part. But I will say I did start encountering racism as I got to the cities outside of Clinton and Jackson, more so Brandon, Mississippi, and Pearl, Mississippi. I used to drive for UPS
Okay.
for about 3 years, and when I would deliver out there, I would encounter a lot of racist people. I would get the nastiest looks, and one guy even told me that I shouldn't even be driving on the truck, just because I was black and he didn't want to see a black man driving a UPS truck. So out there, you'll deal with it a lot, but I kind of just brush it off. It's ignorance at
Yeah.
the end of the day, and you can't let stuff like that get to you. So,
Yeah.
but Mississippi, for the most part, it's not as racist as say like Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah.
I've been there quite a few times and it's way worse in those two states.
So
Mm.
you so growing up, you didn't have no desire to be in the show business. Did you have like another desire or was what I'm saying?
And no, I never thought about it at all. I always wanted to, well, growing up, I wanted to be like a detective or something, and that was it. But that changed, when I got to college, and I ended up pursuing a degree in psychology just because I like the way the mind works and I always wanted to know why people do the things they do, and it led me into studying behavioral psychology. And at one point, I wanted to go further into clinical psychology, but I changed that path and I just stayed with the behavioral psychology, and that was it. For us, it's like I didn't know my life was going to lead me into show business at all. It was just something that just happened. It was a spark of a conversation and I just stuck with it because I liked it so much.
Was it challenging at first getting into it? Was it like learning how certain stages get set up, like how you said the semi, like learning how, or is it kind of like the same, like every time that you kind of set up?
Well, each stage is different. They're all kind of the same, but each stage is just a little bit different. It was difficult at first because it's a lot of long hours and long nights and hardly no sleep. And so you could do would do I remember one weekend I did 60 hours, hardly any sleep. And so a lot of times when those shows are over, we start breaking everything down immediately. And so a show can be over, I'll say at 10 o'clock. We probably won't be done until 7 or 8 o'clock the next morning. And that's if we finish. Some nights we can get out, a little bit earlier, but it just depends on how big the stage is. Some stages are small, some are big, but for the most part, they're all kind of the same.
So you basically the first one to the venue, but you're there because you got to set up, so it's taking you the longest. You the last one the hours after the venue, but you're still the first one at the venue. So it's like you running into work
Right,
every day is just running in right back into itself. So as far
right.
as like
First one there, last one to leave.
so as far as like is it on tour, that's as like the 60 hours, the real fast, like keep steady moving back and forth, like you know what I mean? It's kind of like you everywhere with it.
Yeah, on tour, I will say on tour, it's a lot easier because you don't have to really deal with a stage. You'll just have a set role. Like my first year on tour, I was the tour rigger, and I was a V2, which is just somebody who helps build the video wall. And so it is very fast paced. And so we'd get in that morning, set everything up. It'll take roughly 5 hours, which is not bad. But then at night is where the rush comes in, depending on the next city we would have to go to. A lot of times we would have to rush to get all that down and then try and shower, try and get some sleep, and then be back up. And so we would probably lay down. There were some nights I would go to sleep at 4 and be back up at 8 o'clock to
Ooh,
set up the video wall and everything for the next show. And would do this like 5 days in a row.
like draining.
It takes a toll on you. Yeah, it takes a toll on you, man. Not only physically but mentally too. Because at that point, around that fourth and fifth day, you're already tired, and now your mental stability is starting to drain, and you get worn out more, and so now you become more irritable and everything, and you get a little snappy. But in those moments, you just gotta stay calm and take a break when you need to here and there, and just try to stay focused on the bigger picture.
So when you started out and you said, I wanna take it back to when you said when you first when you did you said you did the semi thing and then you got booked in for working with Kevin and they called you back or whatever. How did that first like situation with working with Kevin, setting up for him or whatever, how did that situation come about?
Well, it was it was kind of I was having a conflict with not with my boss, but with a few people that were on the job, and it started to just build up and build up, and I ended up walking off the job, and the guy who I told you, the production guy, all events, who owned the company, I talked to him before I walked off the job, and I told him, was like, if you ever need me for anything, just call me. And 3 days later, he called me and he asked me that I want to go on tour with Kevin as the tour leader and also the help with the video wall. And I told him, of course. And so that in itself was just a blessing. And it was just, I think it was just meant to happen. I'm a big believer in what's meant for you is meant for you, and what's not is not. And so even though it was unfortunate that I had to leave that company who I started with and I had been with them for years, but it led me to something much greater and a better opportunity for myself and my family.
Hell yeah. I mean, I know that, that's probably was that probably like a highlight in your life at the time, like coming from leaving that job and now you finna go on tour, with your mans and, set up and, do something that you're starting to like and you're not in that same, you're in a different zone.
Yes, it was something that I really wanted. I had been saying for like probably the last 2 years that I eventually want to go on tour and I want to work for a um, a black artist. That because before that I was just working with a lot of country artists and white guys and stuff. But something that was important to me was just I wanted to be with my people, and just work with a hip hop artist, and so at the time when he told me that it was like a dream come true. And I was like excited and very grateful for the opportunity.
Are you still with your partner that got you in the game right now? Y'all still together doing this, or did you like, is you guys he kind of, y'all on two different, waves?
Yeah, we are on two different waves. I'll tell you, that first show that I worked, the show that he got me on, he got fired that same show. And
Dang.
so after that, he didn't work in the show business anymore after that. He just did a few things here and there, but we're not in contact anymore with each other though, unfortunately.
Hey, God worked in his ways, you know what I mean? That probably was,
Right.
your time to step up and do your thing, best of luck to him, hopefully, I don't know what
Right.
wave he on,
Right.
but best of luck to him and
You're like exactly.
how was it like so when you on tour with Kevin, like how is the environment? Like how is the crowd, the energy, like just on an everyday, like the stuff that people don't know. Like I'm gonna get, I want you to tell me the crowd, the energy, but like before the crowd and the energy, just being in that environment with the whole BWA camp and y'all moving as a unit, how's that feeling?
That feeling is it's amazing, because we're all brothers at the end of the day, and we all have each other's back, and we all have to work together to make this thing work, And so the energy itself is just loving. It's very loving. It's like I said, it's a brotherhood, and so it's fun. Of course, we everybody gets on each other's nerves here and there, but at the end of the day, it's the bigger picture, and that's all coming together so we can make this thing happen at the end of the night for Kevin. And so the energy is always there. It's always good. And even with sometimes with the people at the venues, they're in good spirits also. You may run into a few people who, are just assholes and dicks. This business is filled with assholes and dicks. I'll tell you that also. But you also run into a lot of people who are just very happy for you to be there and they want to, and anything you need, they'll get it done for you. And so that's the energy that you want and that you need on a day to day, especially on those days when you're just mentally and physically drained, and you have the people at the venue who are going to make things easy for you along the way going into the show that night. And the crowd itself is just the energy and everything from the crowd is just that first night when I felt it, it was amazing. I was just in shock, like, wow, I'm really here. I'm really doing, what I wanted to do. And it was just amazing, surreal feeling.
I kind of had that type of same feeling when the first show I opened up. I can't remember what tour it was. We was in Charleston, South Carolina. It was Gates, Peasy.
Um,
It was like,
yeah, the Big Life tour.
yep, the Big
That was
Life
the Big
tour.
Life tour.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when I first initially seen you. I didn't say nothing to you. I seen you working, and I was like, because when I came in there, you was the first one I seen, and I was like, I think he part of Gates and them crew, but I'm like, I ain't seen Ron yet, and that's why I was waiting. I was waiting to link up with Ron, and the
Yeah.
energy there, what I mean, was just how everybody treated me. You know what I'm saying? I had did some work with Mills on my heavyweight record with Boosie. He ended up engineering. So that was my first time meeting Mills, face to face. So that was kind of like, a full circle thing for me. Getting on the stage that big, seeing that just just walking in the arena, you know what I'm saying, that energy and that how all y'all was all together and just like, you know what I'm saying, Matt was in there. Y'all, everybody was just having fun. And I'm still
Right.
getting to, learning it. And I'm like, man, like this is how I want, like this is what I want. Not as far as like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to be at this level. Yes, I would want to be at that level, but just the camaraderie. I can't even say that word that
Yeah,
good,
your
but
team.
yeah,
Yeah.
just the way how you guys, everybody was vibing and having a good time before the show. It wasn't even like y'all had nothing to, like it was just like it was fun work. It wasn't like we was, y'all serious. I ain't gonna never say y'all not serious. Y'all serious to the bone. But just the whole vibe was crazy. And even like we when I did the show with Gates in Chattanooga, now how you say how certain people was, be assholes, that's how I kind
Yes.
of got treated in Chattanooga a little bit with the people that was running it. But it
Hmm.
was, I ain't get mad at them or nothing. I understand, they got a big artist here. Everybody's running around, everybody's here and there. So I kind of understand it, but it was kind of like, I got more love at the other situation more than the one in Chattanooga because she was, down there pushing me to the left as soon as I got there. You know, like you know
Right.
what I mean. So I wasn't really tripping, but I understand what you're saying. Like that whole vibe. You feel me? And I
Yeah.
wonder. So when you working with Gates, is like as a person, how is he? You know what I mean? Is he everything that you thought he would be? Not in a weird way. You feel me? But like meeting him and knowing him on a personal level, is it more than seeing actually just knowing from seeing as in music or YouTube or whatever videos or whatever?
Well, I remember always seeing his interviews and stuff with people, and I would always think like, damn, this guy's like just super like tough. Sometimes, you know, he seemed like an asshole, just from the outside looking in. But when I met him, it was the complete opposite. And that's why I'm really like trying to find the right word to say. I don't want to say just, I really look up to Gates. I'll say that just because the way he embraced embraced me and his entire production crew, it was something that I had never experienced before. Like I told you before, we were always treated like shit. And so just to have this major artist just really embrace you and accept you into his crew, into his family, it was just an amazing experience. And I really am appreciative and look up to him for that, man. I'm very, very grateful for him accepting me also, you know. But Kevin as a person, man, it's amazing. He's like I tell you, he's just like any other person, man. He values his space, his time, you know, and yeah,
That's what's up, cause I know a lot of people who said the same thing that you said. They when I hear people talk, they're like, "Man, he an asshole," or just from past interviews and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think he really like that. I think it's just certain situations that they probably caught him on camera where he probably
hmm
wasn't feeling it at the time. Cause I don't think people understand what people go through on a day to day with stupid motherfuckers asking dumb questions or people just being around them or you never know nobody's motive who's ever coming around you.
right,
You don't know. So sometimes you're not gonna be the nicest person in the world around people that ain't you don't really know what's your motive. You know what I mean? You don't know if you coming in here to infiltrate what I got going on or to down me. Or you could be, you really could be lifting me up, but it's so here and there in these time of days, you don't really know. You don't know who really showing love because anybody could do anything and pull out a fucking phone for the hell of it, to go viral for some
exactly,
stupid shit. And it don't make
right.
sense, but
And it's
I
like you,
understand it.
right, and it's like you said, man. It's just I think it was just the internet just likes to take little snippets and show that and just give a false perception of a person, And it was just like I said, when I got around him, I saw what it was. And it's like you said, in that moment, we didn't see the full clip, and he was just probably just protecting his energy the only way he knows how to. To us, it might seem as like he's been an asshole, but that's just him protecting himself.
Okay, okay. I got a question. You know, every time I get on a podcast, I love, talking about rap, hip hop, anything about it. So when you listening to your music, what's your playlist? Like who's your top five, or what type of vibe with the music, that people, that's what Salty playing. This what Salty would play.
Man, I gotta say, my number one. Well, I'll go from my top five. My five, I'll have to say, is Saint Paul and the Broken Bones. My number four is Drake. My number three is Tory Lanez. My number two is Big Sean, and my number one is Dolph, Young Dolph.
Okay, I see the vibe you was in when you hit me with the dolphin. Kind of threw me off, but I can see it at the same. I can see it at the same time because my top five is kind of it's different. I like uh
Mhm.
50 Cent, Tech Nine, Boosie, Webby, DMX, Tupac. Like these are the people I listen to still to this day. I listen to their old records. I really don't. I listen. Only person I really listen to now in this time is Gates, because I don't really feel nobody else's
Mhm.
music is wise. Mexican OT, Big X the plug, but it's not that really many artists that I've been, that's been coming out lately that I've been, like really can, it's a feeling thing with me. You know what I mean? I gotta feel the
Yeah,
music. If I can't feel the music or feel the
right,
pain or the passion where you coming from, it's cool to have the club bangers, the club hits, everybody bobbing, da 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 da. I like that, you feel me? But that's for what it's for. You know
right.
what I mean? When I'm riding around, I want to hear something that'll have me, damn near tear up. You know what I mean? What does Salty got for the future? Like, what's the plans for the future for Salty?
um, my plans for the future, man, is probably cooking. You know, something most people don't know about me is that I really love and enjoy cooking. And actually, before the pandemic hit, I was set to go to New York because they have an Italian cuisine course that they do up there. And so you'll do 1 month in New York, and then you do an additional 3 months in Italy, and then you have to do an internship while you're there, you know. And so, but that was all canceled because of the pandemic, unfortunately. But I've recently gotten back into, well, I've always been cooking, but I recently just became a pit master at a barbecue place here called Sonny's here in Clinton. And so I cook and smoke all the meat and prep everything. And so eventually I want to have my own restaurant. Not sure if I want it to be a barbecue restaurant, but I know I do want to have my own restaurant where I'm cooking my own food, you know.
Hell
And
yeah.
so that's something that I think that's probably going to be my next move, after this.
That's dope because like I fuck with cooking. I make ribs. I got I cook all the time for my kids, and I know that sounds like a nigga just copying what you saying type shit. But it's dope that how certain things, certain vibes that how you got it kind of it hit with me because I love cooking. I love barbecuing. Shout out to you heard them on here. Y'all, if y'all ever in Clinton, come pull up on them. Go get the barbecue out there. And I think that's dope that that you have something else in mind that you want to chase after is in with cooking. So since you cooking, what's the dish that that you feel like you untouchable on? What's the dish that you can pull out for your moms, your girl, anybody, and you gonna lay it out?
Man, the dish I can pull out. Ooh, man, my go-to dish is um, lamb chops over homemade mashed potatoes with a pomegranate sauce on top of it.
Oh, so
That's my go-to.
he
So
doing it
yeah,
fancy though.
yeah, just a little bit.
Hey, yeah, yeah, that's what's up, man. Before we get up out of here, man, you got any shout outs or anything you want us to know, your Instagram or anything that you want to promote so people can get in contact with you, support you, support your movement?
If you want to find me on the gram, my at name is who is Sedic, but my name on there is Salty also, so you'll be able to see that. And I also just want to shout out BWA Kevin Gates. Thank you so much for bringing me to your family and accepting me for who I am. And also, I want to shout out MIO, which is mulling it over. That's the stagehand company that I started off with. And if it wasn't for him, taking a chance on me, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I'm very appreciative of him for that also. And thank you also, man, for having me on.
Oh man,
I
no
really
problem,
appreciate
brother.
you.
I'm most definitely gonna link up with you. I gotta get some ink from you, you know what I'm saying? I know that you be tatting, that's probably a hidden gem we ain't spoke about on the podcast, but
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm gonna come
it's a
get some
hidden.
barbecue. I'm gonna have to come down there, man. We're gonna have to, chop it up, and I gotta get down there anyway. I got a show coming up in Kentucky, but I need to go ahead and plan to come down that way because I need to I wanna get to that nice heat. And I wanna feel that good southern hospitality. I'm tired of this Michigan weather. It's cold as fuck up here.
Please come, man, come.
Hey, we're gonna end this podcast. It's my dog Salty. Shout out to BWA. Shout out to Salty for coming on the platform, expressing his self, expressing how he does his job, what he likes to do, what his playlist is. You feel me? You can go follow him. I'm gonna have it on the screen. Hey, we out here. It's another episode. It's the Kid Trey Rivers, man. You know what it is.